Welcome, mates. By way of introduction, we've got Marshall Hall today. Proud Southlander, 10 national titles with the discus out of the Invercargill club. You've competed around the world, been to world championships. You're a dad with a young family, a 2-year-old, and another one on the way, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, another young fella on the way. So 2 boys that I can transition into discus.
Is the young fella showing a bit of form already?
Yeah, he's a bit of a beast. My brother-in-law's slightly taller than I am, and I'm 6'8", so he's much bigger than the other kids. So he's got a little discus already, but we won't limit him to just discus.
That's right. The old balance is better. Give him lots of options.
Yeah, that's right.
Actually, because discus wasn't necessarily your first love either, was it?
No, look, I grew up playing every sports, and that's what I benefited with. The sporting family sort of did everything, but basketball was my main passion throughout school, and obviously the height helped with that one. So yeah, it's naturally transitioned into a basketballing pathway, and sort of did those 2 sports side by side.
And I think it was an injury, wasn't it, that sort of transitioned you through?
Yeah, so at the end of my schooling days, ended up at Otago Uni, and I herniated 3 discs in my back. So I had back surgery relatively young. I think I was 19 at the time. And long story short, I was told to not play basketball again. So that made my choice for me, and because I was in that sort of dilemma zone of which sport do I head down. So that naturally peeled off the basketball and on with discus.
Was that? I mean, that was, I guess, devastating. Might be a hard you, but you were playing at a pretty high level basketball at that stage, weren't you? Was that pretty tough?
Yeah, it was, because I loved it, and I went away to boarding school for a couple of years at Waitaki Boys, especially for basketball. I played for the New Zealand under-18 team, and it was because it's a huge passion of mine. I still love basketball, still watch basketball. Head down to the local court and play a bit on 3-on-3 every now and then and push people around. But it was. But I think the main thing, the hardest thing about it was I had no sport for like a year. And for someone who's just been nuts for sports, that whole year of recovery and rehabilitation was mentally really tough. But got through the other side of that, and it's just haven't looked back, really.
And I guess to have the career that you've had, and I guess we probably should have prefaced this by saying you hung the boots up sort of late last year, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and it was kind of everything came together nicely. My body was saying no, and my mind was saying no more as well. So I've herniated discs quite seriously on 3 different occasions. I've had back surgery, knee surgery, shoulder surgery, and probably another couple that I've forgotten too. And it got to the point where Tokyo was approaching, and I had a young baby at the time. Motivation was pretty low. My coach was living in America, but I agreed with my wife, we'll go one last season and give it a good crack at an Olympics. And second competition in, developed a labral tear in my left hip, which was obviously a lot of grinding my hips through the 10 years of serious discus, and then one day it just gave up. So that my season came to an end, which meant not even a chance at Olympics, and then COVID hit. So the Olympics got pushed out. But in terms of my focus on my family and things, it all came together at the right time, and there was about a week grieving there, and then I got on with it, and I haven't looked back.
I'm guessing, given the career you've had, the success you've had, there's been some people that have really had an impact on the way through. Who would they be?
Yeah, so I guess my family was a huge one. Obviously, just giving me the opportunity to get involved in sport, and a lot of time, effort, money, support in various ways to help me grow in sport. And then obviously there's people along the way. When I went to Dunedin, Raylene Bates had a huge input into mothering me while I was at university, and also being an outstanding coach and just really helping me develop that love for the sport. And then when I went to Auckland, obviously the support through Athletics New Zealand, my coach Matt Dello is when, that's when I made a turn as sort of going from a nationally successful discus thrower to sort of an elite athlete. And yeah, I'm really thankful for that. But I mean, right through school as well, being part of Academy Southland was huge, because that sort of kick-started my career into that mentality of becoming a high performance athlete. So I guess things like having special sessions around nutrition and mental skills and goal planning. I think time management, especially for a young person who's dealing with school and training every other day, as well as multiple sports. And I think just the life skills that I learned outside of sport as well, setting me up for 6 years at university and transitioning into being an adult and balancing all the variables that come with that as well was really, really important. So I wouldn't say it was one person that helped channel me through sport and supported me. It was many people and many different support services.
Yeah, they say it takes a village, doesn't it? I guess if we look back at your career, and we wrote a story along these lines a couple of years ago, but if we look at a career low light and a career highlight, I think for you those two things came in sort of rapid succession, didn't they?
Yeah, that's right. A double-edged sword, but yeah, definitely 2017 was the high and the low, because I trained, my whole career to try and reach a pinnacle event or a black singlet event, and that was the World Championships for me in London. So I qualified for the World Champs and the Commonwealth Games with the same throw when I was in America. So I was building up and feeling really good, and then got to the competition on my last warm-up throw, herniated disc in my back, and I guess with the adrenaline and everything that's going with that, and I'm going to my coach, "Flip, should I compete?" Got the physio standing there going, you could do some further damage, but I was like, no, I'm standing here in front of 80,000 people. I'm in London. I've worked for the past 10 years to get here. I've got a lot of family support. Got Usain Bolt running to my left in his last event at the same time, and I was just like, no, I'm going out there, pulled on the singlet and competed. And obviously I competed not so well, but yeah, I was still proud to be out there, and yeah, it meant everything to me. But at the end of the day, that also, I couldn't compete at the Commonwealth Games, so I was provisionally selected for that the following year. And because I'd spent 4 months rehabbing after the World Champs, I couldn't prove fitness, so I got pulled from the team 3 weeks prior, that was pretty devastating. Yeah.
What were the days after that like? And did you get some good advice? What was the reflection like after that?
I think it was, to be fair, it was a lot of self-reflection and a lot of conversations with the family and my coach. I was pretty down. I was in a lot of pain. I could barely get out of bed the next day, but I was pretty pumped that I just had to keep reminding myself about all the hard work that went in there, and just that no regret mentality. And I think at that point, it's 3.5 years ago now, I still was forward thinking. I was thinking there's plenty more where this came from, so I just needed to get back on track. Do the rehab I needed to do, which I did, and haven't had major back issues since then. And yeah, I guess it was just looking forward, looking at what I achieved, just living in the moment while I was there, and just being proud of what I'd done, and not focusing on the result that wasn't so flash.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's like a 5XL black singlet adorning your folks' living room that most of us will never get the opportunity to that's something that no one can ever take away from you, isn't it?
No, that's right, and that's why I hung it up there for my parents, because it's not only I don't want it hanging on my wall. I've been there. I've got plenty of other memories and memorabilia with it, but that was sort of a gift to my parents too, with all the years of sacrifice they had to help support me to get to that point. Yeah. Cost a bit extra to frame that one up, just given the size of it.
I bet it did. Yeah, I mean, if you do look back at that, your career what are you most proud of?
I don't think it's one thing. I think just the dedication, because I mean, coming out of school, you've got a lot of, and going through university, obviously there's the university lifestyle, and there's a lot of differing things that will challenge you, and that lifestyle. There's other sports. There's a range of things that will, I guess, challenge your dedication and your focus. So I'm most proud of that no regret mentality, and still having a social life and trying new things and getting out there, because athletics can be quite an isolating individual sport. But I'm most proud that I've got through all that and focused. And I guess that was the part of the upbringing and the support that I had, obviously through Academy Southland and my family and the people around me. I guess that I ended up, and I was lucky enough to be in that very small percentage of people to get to that level.
Yeah, because you've continued to study, you've continued to work full-time as well as training full-time. Not all athletes take that path. That's, how have you been able to do that?
Yeah, so I've always had multiple things going on. I wouldn't call myself ADHD. That's definitely not ADHD, but right through uni, I worked in the weekends, which helped me not get caught up too much in that party mode. Had Sunday morning trainings and things, and that was probably intentional by my coach. So I studied for 6 years. I got a couple of degrees, and then when I obviously came into the workforce as an adult graduate from university, working full-time job and training 6 days a week as a high performance athlete was something that I was always used to. And I think when I was at the 2017 World Champs, I was the only athlete in New Zealand team that worked full-time. So that's something I'm proud of as well. So I've set myself up. You might have a career-ending injury, or like thinking ahead, life after sport. So I did that, and I was always taught to do that from a young age, just to set yourself up.
And I love that no regrets mentality. If you were to sort of, I guess it's a segue into some of the stuff you're involved in now, but if you were to sort of see yourself a younger you just starting out, what's the piece of advice that you would give to yourself?
Look, and I would have done exactly what I've done now, and I'm a big advocate of not specialising too early in sport. So try new things, try a lot of different sports, take on the advice, relish support. People are there to help you. I didn't specialise in discus until I went to university, obviously with injuries, and then after university is when I really went serious on it. So the last sort of 8 years of my career. But yeah, try everything. Don't narrow yourself down. And think about life after sport, because I think it can be quite unhealthy just to get caught up in one thing and focus too hard on one thing, because it can work against you as well.
And are you missing the athletics? I know there's been a nationals since you've retired, but I guess you haven't entirely sort of walked away from the sport completely, have you?
No, and look, when the season starts, you obviously have a lot of reflections, but I haven't missed throwing one bit, and I think I'm quite content with where I'm at, and I've got a lot of other things to focus on, like my family, being a father, being a husband, and I have obviously grown a passion for coaching, and I started coaching in my sort of last 2 seasons of competing myself anyway, and I've grown a love for that. So I've got a couple of throw squads that keep me busy. So I'm moulding some young minds and some young talents up here in Auckland. So I'm really enjoying that.
Oh, that's awesome, mate. Hey, and I know this all feels a bit like deja vu because of some of my technological issues. This is the second time we've sat down, so really appreciate you giving up even more of your time. You're a busy man, so but I think it's a great opportunity to reflect back on a great career by a proud Southlander. I think only one New Zealander's ever thrown the discus further than you. So congratulations on a fantastic career.
Yeah, thanks very much, Nathan. Appreciate that.
Awesome. Thanks, mate.